What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey everyone, we'll be starting in a few minutes. Just hang tight. We'll get things rolling here shortly. Back in a few.
Mark, are you here?
Hey guys, we're back. We're just trying to add some more speakers, waiting for more people to come in. We're still waiting for a couple other speakers to join.
I think we're waiting for some speakers, right?
Yeah, there's some feedback on your end, Kisan. Okay, we're back. Again, we're still waiting for for a few more speakers to come in, but we'll get things started right away. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Good morning, wherever you guys are in the world. I know there's some speakers here from Asia. It's bright and early over there, so welcome. Thanks for joining. We appreciate the early morning grind. I'm Mark from Torum, and we'll be co-hosting with our friends from Bitflow Finance. Bitflow, what's up, guys? How are you guys doing? Bitflow, you there? You're on mute. Big Mac, you there? By the way, can you guys hear me? Just confirming.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Perfect. Well, we'll just keep on rolling. Maybe they kind of stepped away there, but we have a tremendous lineup of speakers from the Bitcoin ecosystem today. It was a bit of a challenge to get everyone aligned, but we did it. We got L2s, we got DeFi dApps, tooling and infrastructure, oracles, a little bit of everything. Today we have Bitflow Finance, like I mentioned earlier.
Testing.
There they are. Hey, what's up?
Testing 1 2. How you doing?
Good, good. How are you guys doing?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Thumbs up. But yeah, we have Bitflow Finance co-hosting today. There's Bison Labs in the building, Photon Labs as well, Arch Network, Zulu Network, and our friends from BTC Startup Lab. What's up? What's up, guys? How are you guys doing tonight?
Yeah, doing great. Thanks for hosting.
Awesome. Awesome. Again, we have an hour pendant for this evening, and we want to provide as much value as possible for the community. I think the last 5 minutes we'll try to do a Q&A, open up the floor for questions. We'll see how the timing goes, but we'll aim for that. Again, is there anything Bitflow you guys want to add before we get started?
Let's just have a great space. Excited to hear about what everybody's building. I see that the ecosystem is exploding, and it's a very interesting time to be around now.
1000%. There's tremendous growth right now. It's really wonderful to see. But yeah, we'll go around the room briefly. We want to get brief introductions from every speaker. Tell us a little bit about what your company does, your overall mission, and why you guys are building on Bitcoin. Does someone want to take that on first off?
I guess we'll start.
Wonderful.
Let the rest of the panel join in. We are building quite a few things now. Some are recent or latest product releases. Have been a route aggregator, multi-hop swaps, and we're aiming to have deep liquidity pools with Uniset style AMM pools. And then we got a couple of things cooking that I'll let Diego get into later to see what alpha he can drop.
Kisan, you want to
Hey
go
guys,
next?
can you hear me? I
Yeah, you're
don't know
good.
what
You're
happened to
good.
Mark, but we can kick things off. I think we just want to go around first. Appreciate you guys all coming on and being here. I'll host until Mark kind of gets connected. But yeah, we want to just kind of go around first and just do brief introductions from all the speakers. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, what your company is about, your overall missions, why you guys decided to build on Bitcoin, and then we can kind of jump into some of the alpha stuff on milestones and product updates. So I mean, let's kick it off with Zulu Network, and we'll go from there.
Amazing. Yeah, again, great. Thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate the invite. So, Zulu Network, we are a ZK Bitcoin protocol. We introduce a 3-layer approach to bringing more functionality into the Bitcoin ecosystem. Our first layer, the layer 2 on Bitcoin, we call Zulu Prime. This is an EVM liquidity layer, full EVM compatibility based on ZK sync. Kisan, you mind going on
Sorry,
mute? We're getting feedback.
yeah, there's just some feedback. Kishan, can you mute yourself? I think the
Kisan,
feedback
could you
might
mute
be from
yourself?
your
Yeah.
end.
If I start talking
Sorry,
now, is it
Zulu.
okay?
Go ahead,
Okay.
Zulu.
All right, yeah. So continuing on, yeah. So Zulu Prime, layer 2 on Bitcoin, EVM liquidity layer. This leverages ZK proofs to achieve finality on the Bitcoin mainnet, while getting a decentralized bridge to move your Bitcoin and Bitcoin-based assets. The idea there being that you can consolidate liquidity in one place from the Bitcoin mainnet, other L1s, other Bitcoin layer 2s, bring that all into one easy-to-use place where you get all the functionality you can and that you need for your crypto assets. And then our layer 3 solution is called Zulu Nexus. This is a UTXO innovation layer. And what I mean by that is it's UTXO based for the format, but it also incorporates some of the features of account type, meaning that your state is updated on every single transaction. And what that does is it eliminates the need for any kind of third-party indexers, any trusted centralized party outside of the network to maintain the current state of inscription-based assets, Bitcoin native assets, anything like that. That's one of the big problems we currently see with innovation on Bitcoin. It's amazing to see that people want to build in Bitcoin. We agree with that. We're obviously part of this, but we want to keep that decentralized ethos. And the current setup of Bitcoin doesn't allow for this. The creation of these new assets without some kind of social protocol to maintain ownership. And our UTXO innovation layer, it eliminates this need. So our goal here is to just really unleash the creative potential of Bitcoin formats, and give people who are building on Bitcoin the environment and the ecosystem and the tools they need to do that faster, cheaply, more efficiently, and just get more out of these really unique formats in this really interesting space. So that's a quick introduction about Zulu Network.
Thanks, Zulu. Arch Network, did you want to give it a try?
Sure. What's going on, guys? My name is Matt from Arch Network. We are the only Bitcoin native application platform where we can allow for Turing complete smart contract programmability on Bitcoin's base layer. So as you guys know, there's many different layer 2s and layer 3s now in the space that are offering various programmable and scalable execution environments, because as we all know, Bitcoin does not have its own native VM. It doesn't have the ability to achieve consensus yet without any soft fork. So essentially what Arch Network is a specialized VM that we've custom built for Bitcoin in the UTXO model, whereas all other ZK VMs are obviously for the account model in mind. We are able to handle state transitions and asset transfers directly on Bitcoin's base layer without the need to bridge. So the main differentiator there is every single L2 out there, the very first step that you need to do in order to engage with that L2 is you need to bridge your assets over to the destination chain, whereas you can invoke smart contract functionality with a layer 1 Bitcoin transaction without that additional trust assumption that you need to make in that bridge operator. So we can support a wide variety of applications and protocols like DEXs, like Bitflow's building, borrow and lending applications like Liquidium, peer-to-peer gaming, prediction markets, all sorts of protocols and applications that can tap into the native liquidity on Bitcoin. The major struggle for these EVM compatible layer 2s is going to be tapping into the $1 trillion in Bitcoin that are sitting in these hot wallets on Bitcoin or cold storage. So the main goal for us at Arch is to allow for developers to tap into the native liquidity on Bitcoin as opposed to tapping into other execution environments where you'll need to bridge first.
Gotcha. Awesome. Sounds like you guys are doing incredible
Can you guys hear me?
there. Yeah. By the way, go ahead.
Hello.
Hey, Bitflow.
Yeah, we can hear you, Bitflow.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm Diego here, co-founder of Bitflow. Appreciate the invite. Awesome space. I look forward to sharing a little bit about Bitflow. But basically, we started as a stable swap on stacks. Stable and stable coins is a very important primitive of any DeFi protocol. An example of one on Ethereum would be Curve. By focusing on price similar assets, not just stable coins to the USD dollar, but any price similar assets. If you want to exchange different flavors of Bitcoin, ABTC to XBTC, in our case, ST stacks to stacks, or USDA to USDC or USDT. Those are kind of some of the primitives, or the initial stable curve-like pools. We've recently expanded into XYZ pools like Uniswap styles of different serving pairs, and also the swap aggregator. So as we expanded the swap aggregator, I think we're in a similar mission here with everybody in terms of first how do we keep the liquidity within Bitcoin, and how do we make the liquidity flow? So for us, it's connecting these fragmented liquidity that's across the Bitcoin and Bitcoin layers. Now we have multiple new layers in development, and allowing the user to quickly swap and trade between those assets, right? And this is important because as more new, meta protocol side chains are created, even though we're seeing more activity within the Bitcoin ecosystem, it's good for the sustainability of the protocol and fees. You start creating fragmented, capital and fragmented pools across the ecosystem. One way that we're starting with that in the Stacks ecosystem is connecting all of the DEXs within the Stacks ecosystem, so that you can quickly find the best rate, find the best route, and the best fees. And now it's all about the user experience. And as Bitcoiners ourselves, I think it's important for us to think of ways to bring more productivity to Bitcoin. And also, as we're building these infrastructures, I think something that was also key here in a lot of the intros was that everyone gets to a point that there's no infrastructure because you're the first one building there. And when you create these rails, you then allow other builders to come and you start facilitating and creating sort of a ladder where we start sharing the codes and we start sharing the tools and we start sharing the products and applications to create a better version of your product. And Asigna is one example of the bridge, the multi-sig wallets, liquidity on Bitflow as a liquidity infrastructure is also another key. It's important for protocols to have this sort of liquidity that's low slippage, low slippage and low fees. And that's a little bit of what we're doing now. Looking forward to sharing more details as we go through the call.
Yeah, 100%. Up next, let's have Turum go up. Lee, can you hop on stage?
Yeah, sure. Our narrative is also on L1 base, so we are, like Arch Network is saying, right? There's a lot of stuff on L1 that you along with Bitflow, how you guys want to keep the liquidity in Bitcoin chain, right? Like blockchains are black blocks in nature, where you don't have real world data that comes into the chain and nothing kind of gets out, right? So that's where we come in, as an Oracle network, where we want to bring all different kinds of real world data, right? Whether it's like on-chain prices from different chains, real world assets, stock prices, commodity prices, forex prices. That's kind of the main grand vision for us, where we want to decentralize, build a meta protocol that's going to be like a decentralized network of nodes, where we can build like Oracle network. So that's where we come in, as well as we're also building out the indexing layer. So there's a lot of different information on the blockchain, Bitcoin blockchain right now, where you have like ruins, ordinals, inscriptions, but a lot of indexing work needs to be done, where you can see this in more like a granular format or for different needs. And that's also something that we are doing at the same time. So that's where we are. I also see Fonzie from Ordinal Hive. Perhaps we can also pass it on to Fonzie to speak a little bit about Ordinal Hive and what's happening there. Would appreciate a few words there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yo,
Fonz,
what's up, guys? Yeah, I'm right here. GM. I see some familiar faces. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Cool. Yeah, I see Bitfly. I see the big Matt. We're doubling up today, guys, in spaces. Should we go for the triple count or what? No, I see Matt there. What's up, Matt? Yeah, no, excited for today's space. We've got a really good core group of builders here. But yeah, just like everyone here, I think for us, like we saw the lack of infrastructure, right? We saw the lack of sort of ability to do stuff that we want to do, especially in layer one. So we decided to do that. Built a platform for traders. A lot of it is targeting high frequency traders to trade specifically ordinals, high volume traders, and just kind of build the tools necessary for them to be successful in that realm. And we're not doing. We went the L2 route, but I think one thing that's for sure is this next cycle we're gonna see like lots of infra being built on both L1, L2, right? And a lot of it is coming down to kind of the players who are building right now during this time. That would provide the next million people to be on board onto Bitcoin, which is really bullish, right? In terms of liquidity, users, all that cool stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to like talk about all everyone's builds and where we are in the process and just getting more people on board to Bitcoin. Because like at the end, Bitcoin is king. There's no second best, and I think we all see that right now.
Yeah, there's been
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
couldn't agree
growth.
more. I think Charlie Spears recently posted, maybe a couple hours ago, the chart on mining profitability, and it's clear every cycle, every 2 years, every time there's demand for the network, and as we go through the halving cycles, it becomes more clear that the fees and the capital need to come from outside of mining, and making Bitcoin more productive, and making BitFlow, or Bitcoin flow, and make people use it and make it easier for people to use it. I think that's the key, because it's not ready to onboard 1 billion people, and I think that's what everyone here is building. Those essential primitives of DeFi.
Yeah, we gotta make sure our security budget is really good. So I agree.
Yeah, that said, there's been a lot of growth in the development side, but in terms of like onboarding people into the ecosystem, do we as builders and users need to do a better job to onboard more people? What are the challenges that we're facing there right now?
Can you guys hear me?
Kisan, yeah, we're
Yeah.
good. We can
Yes.
hear you. I just asked the room a question.
Look at you. I think a couple of the teams have had a bunch of announcements and stuff to make. So do you
100%.
want to go around and do that? We can talk about product updates and milestones, and then we can talk a bit about the ecosystem and stuff after.
That's good. We can do that as well.
So who wants to kind of go first? BitFlow, do you guys want to go first?
Sure. I think it's been a busy beginning of the summer. We were expecting to be heads down building. I think the combination of Bitcoin ETF, the hype around rooms, the new meta protocols, the new layer 2s, like all of this combination of applications and use cases and money flowing in, we knew that there was going to be a high in terms of Bitcoin price, as well as demand for the mining sector. But we also know historically, right after Bitcoin, there's always a downturn. And I personally believe that the actual bull market will start within 6 to 8 months. Market will reach sort of maturity. And we, back to dedicating the summer, we said, okay, now it's the time to build. There's a lot of good experimentation going on. It's time to double down and on our mission to connect this fragmented liquidity. And that's what we'll be doing. I think a few milestones for us. We are just around 90 million in total transaction volume year to date, and a total of 31,000 unique wallets and users, which is pretty awesome. For let's remind that October Bitcoin was around 30K. So, in a year ago when Ornos was released on live, I think it was January 20, Bitcoin was 21,000. So, it's pretty awesome to see all these forward-moving traction metrics. But at the end of the day, it's always going back to like, how do we make it easier for users? And we've always focused on building these deep liquidity pools, which is essential for any protocols, even other DeFi protocols, indexes. It's very important to have first a very deep, stable, paired liquid token with the protocol token. It's also essential to have different versions of Bitcoin. It's essential to have stables, and then those can connect to a bunch of other pairs via multi-hops. And from a user perspective, going and hopping around multiple dexes, trying to find the best rate, fragmenting the liquidity. Even if you're Welsh or Leo token or dog token, whatever meme token it is, you still have to provide liquidity. And providing liquidity a bit across multiple dexes is not really optimal. And that's what we're focusing on right now, really aggregating all of this liquidity and replicating this on both the layer 1 and layer 2. We are working with partners on the runes to stacks bridge, which is going to allow us to offer all of the benefits of the Nakamoto upgrade to Bitcoiners. I think if we look at what's happened or what happened in history to BRC20s, we saw the liquidity just flow, exit Bitcoin, exit L1, exit Bitcoin layers, and go directly to centralized exchanges, KuCoin, OKX, and the list goes on. And if you look at ORDI, 90-something% of ORDI today's trade for USDT, which is again is a centralized custodial, stable coin. And I think what we need to keep Bitcoin liquidity within the Bitcoin layers is to allow users to trade within the Bitcoin ecosystem, and be able to trade for stable assets that are also on Bitcoin or uses Bitcoin as collateral, and not some, centralized entity, and also not having to go and exit and come back, because people are willing to send their runes and their BSC20s to centralized exchanges without, really analyzing the risk that they may never get that back. And I think that's the mission, to continue building it on. I think we're getting ready for a BFF token, which is coming soon. That's also going to be essential for us to bootstrap liquidity, offer emissions and rewards, and also start the governance and the decentralized progress to fully be decentralized protocol. So that's a little bit of where we are now, and looking forward to sharing more details.
Cool. Let's go right into Matt and Arch Network with that, because I think what they're doing has a lot to do with kind of keeping Bitcoin assets on Bitcoin, especially with the programmability stuff on L1. So yeah, let's get some updates from you guys.
Yeah, so for the last month and a half, we've had some projects and developers onboarding into our private DevNet, which we've been using as just a way to handhold some of the CTOs and developers of some teams, and helping them deploy smart contracts in their specific use case, like Bitflow, who's experimenting with the liquidity pool functionality of what Arch can bring. For the most recent theme that we've been working on, obviously finishing the build has been the top priority for us, and we're pretty much there now. So the recent theme has been onboarding top tier validators into our Genesis validator set. These are the guys who are basically largely responsible for securing our network and our server infrastructure for the node network, for the prover network. And that's way ahead of schedule. The amount of interest that we've gotten from top tier validator nodes, both from the Solana ecosystem, we've got like 6 out of the top 10 validators in the Solana ecosystem. And we've also got some of the top names in commercial validator services that are all choosing to provide infrastructure support for the Arch network. So that's been incredibly encouraging to see, which I think is a testament to how ready the market is for a DeFi landscape on Bitcoin, with vast amounts of liquidity, deep liquidity pools, and a whole wide variety of applications and protocols that can earn in the rewards that the VM is generating via gas. The next phase is going to be the opening of our public testnet, which will happen in July, probably mid-July. We're going to have a hackathon at the end of the month leading up to Bitcoin Nashville, and we'll do that again for Singapore and for Token 2049. So the theme now is all about onboarding projects, having them come into our development environment and deploy smart contracts. And then that'll be followed up by a mainnet launch in August with an incentivized release where users can now participate and farm tokens by supporting the projects who have been diligently building over the last 6 to 10 months.
Wow, man, that's super dope. So you guys are gonna be on mainnet by like Q3, roughly, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's gonna be great, man. We're excited to work with you guys too, especially with our oracles and your guys' smart contract layer. I think we're gonna be able to unlock so much more for the dApps that are building on top of Bitcoin L1. So super excited about that. Zulu, you guys want to go next?
Yeah, okay. So in terms of the milestones, well, right now we're in our testnet beta. So we wrapped up our alpha a few weeks ago, and we've brought on some improvements and some more features. We now have submissions with some of our partners, including our native DEX, AtomSwap, and our native lending platform, CapitaLend. And we're working to bring on, of course, more partners and more missions, to expand the ecosystem, give users more things to play around with, more use cases, and bring them more value. And then, just similar to what you guys are saying, we're targeting mainnet launch, ideally, by Q3, kind of touch and go, see how the market is, and see how our increments go along as we keep on upgrading. But the number one milestone to date, I have to say, is our implementation of a ZK proof executed on the Bitcoin mainnet based on the BitVM paradigm. The BitVM white paper is what gave us the idea to even start Zulu Network. It's what made us realize that, this kind of smart contract functionality, these decentralized bridges, they're now a thing that is possible and that will really bring a lot of amazing use cases, amazing value to users, bring a lot more functionality, and just move Bitcoin into the future. So that's what made us start building, and that's what we're getting really, really close to making an official implementation of it. But with the test that we executed just recently, it even got a shout out by the writer of the BitVM white paper, Robin Linus. We were now core contributors to the code base to actually make BitVM from theory to reality. So that is something we're really, really proud of and is a big step forward in us achieving our mission.
Wow, that's some great news too. So you guys are. So I guess I have some questions on and I guess I'll pose it to the group. But L1s versus L2s, and what do you guys think that kind of looks like? Moving forward into next year, right? Because the way I see it, or the way that we see it, kind of building on L1 is that there's kind of two camps, right? There's the whole L2 camp that's building more from EVM style ecosystem, building on all these L2s, and working with all these EVM compatible stuff from all these other chains. And then you have the L1 guys that are trying to build the primitives on L1 and trying to pretty much create an L1 ecosystem. So what are your guys' thoughts on that, and how do you think that kind of plays out? Anyone can take it. Just jump in.
I don't necessarily think that it's zero sum. I think that there's going to be applications and use cases that certainly don't make sense for the layer one due to its latency issues, because obviously we're restricted by the limitations that Bitcoin ultimately brings, which is block times, size limits as well. So there's only going to be so many rollups that can post back to Bitcoin, and so many layer one smart contracts that can achieve the amount of the type of user experience that Bitcoin can allow. So I think that there's certainly a need for more scalable solutions where you have the ability to have perp dexes and higher throughput types of applications that are more familiar in ecosystems like Solana and Ethereum. But until we maximize the capabilities of the layer one ecosystem, our viewpoint at Arch is that we need to first and foremost unlock the programmability that is lacking on the layer one today, and continuing to incentivize miners to scale the security budget of Bitcoin. The only way to do that is to keep the activity on Bitcoin. And we can talk about layer twos and how they're able to support all of these new types of functionality and scalability. But at the end of the day, it's not Bitcoin. It's a totally different chain where you ultimately are pegging your Bitcoin into a bridge and minting a new asset on that destination chain. So first and foremost, I think that we need to focus on at least unlocking and tapping into the native liquidity that sits on Bitcoin today, and having that liquidity serve a DeFi ecosystem. And then it will start to make sense to focus on more scalable applications and layers that can achieve sort of a better user experience, which, Arch is definitely going to be focusing on this as well. The more state and the more sticky liquidity that we can aggregate inside of our VM, the more interoperable and the better user experience that some of these layer 2s and layer 3s can ultimately get out of our VM. So I think that that's ultimately how it's going to play out. Like, we've seen this already happen on Ethereum, where the majority of the liquidity is sitting on the layer 1. And then you have maybe like 10 to 20% of that liquidity starting to traverse down to layer 2s, like Arbitrum, Optimism, Base, etc. So I think that you'll see that play out on Bitcoin. And the big X factor is the expectation of the Bitcoin user. We don't know how willing they are to bridge their assets. I mean, we've seen how willing they are for the last 6 years. Less than 1% of total Bitcoin liquidity is sitting in wrapped BTC, which is effectively bridging your Bitcoin to a more programmable chain. So I think that we've seen a lot of evidence that there's a lot of friction that the users don't want to deal with. And as a developer trying to tap into that liquidity, you have to be mindful of that.
Yeah, so I mean, from my perspective, our take on it is similar but a bit different. I think we're going to see a lot more of the crypto natives and like the, degen DeFi, Bitcoin DeFi stuff taking place on the L2s. I think we're going to see a lot more institutional finance and real institutional DeFi, meaning like institutional grade, interest rate swaps, credit default swaps, fixed income assets, all that type of stuff taking place more on L1. Part of that is because I don't think, large financial institutions really care about 10-minute block times or 40-minute settlement or 50-minute settlement. They're worried about T+1 settlement, not T+2, T+3, T+4 settlement. So it's not really about 10-minute transactions and high frequency trading and all this type of stuff. It's really about how can I securely move a $50 million interbank transfer or a central bank transfer in the safest way possible on the same day, versus what I think is going to take over all the L2s is going to be all this liquid staking, restaking, all this type of stuff that we see today in all these other ecosystems, right? And it's funny you guys touch on the miners, so I'll give you some info there. So like, I've actually been talking to some of the miners about possibly bringing in new revenue streams for miners. And one of the things that they're actually taking a look at is what ordinals and runes actually unlocks for them, as with merge mining, as far as maybe using another node client or using another software on their same ASICs to eventually mine new revenue, right? And so one of the things that we're talking to them about is possibly running oracles in our network. And what kind of oracle revenue can they see, right? If they're going to run indexes and oracles in our network, they're kind of actually pretty curious about how much revenue that can actually generate for them bottom line, especially if they're like NASDAQ listed miners or they're like actual publicly listed mining companies, right? Because they have a duty to kind of look into this stuff for their shareholders. So that's also something that if you guys are building on L1, you might want to take a look at or start talking to some of the miners if you have like a new revenue option for these guys.
Yeah, something I would like to add is, I'd like to see more meta protocols on top of Bitcoin, right? Like, if you look at the Ethereum landscape, like there's so much built on top of, and that's what gives it like value, like super excited to hear that there'll be Bitflow kind of, token in the future with like, that lets it to be, to be a sort of meta protocol, right? And that's what creates like value into the ecosystem, like in Bitcoin. So right now we have like very few, right? Like you don't really have a lot of node networks or kind of networks running on top of Bitcoin, and that's what's going to create the network effect that we all would like to see. And hopefully like in the next 18 months or so we will begin to see that more.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I do think that things are going to speed up in terms of L2s and L3s even being launched and being worked on after a few of key issues or features are added to Bitcoin or are built on top of Bitcoin. But at the same time, I do think that there's going to be a horizontal growth because of this demand. Like you said, depending on the use cases, a 10-minute block time is not a big deal. If you're storing, let's say, mortgage contracts, real world assets, and you want to store on chain, Bitcoin is awesome for it. Product authentication, a few supply chain use cases that you really don't need that 10-minute block time while you still need a 24/7 chain. And then on the other hand, I think we're going to start seeing niche side chains and meta protocols and layers that are specifically for one case, right? I think Chainlink is a good example of that. We're going to start seeing like meta protocols that are specifically for updating, price charts every 10 minutes. We're going to start seeing specific protocols just for signing, sending contracts, or maybe just for payment merchants that wants to use Bitcoin to do their payroll. And that fragmentation is very good for the ecosystem, because what I see is a bunch of micro applications in the beginning of Windows or Apple ecosystem. And that's what we're going through today.
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to echo a bit of Bitflow's points here. And, when it comes to the 10-minute block time of Bitcoin, 10 minutes itself isn't the issue most people are facing. It's that because it's every 10 minutes, there's a lot of competing demand for that limited space. So you either have to pay a really high amount to get yourself into the next block, or wait 2-3 blocks down the road when there's, possibly space for your transaction. And also a lot of say deposits or whatever else, they're actually looking for more like 4, 5, 6, 7 confirmations in the Bitcoin network before they're like, okay, we trust that this has actually arrived and it's been consolidated into the Bitcoin canonical chain. So it's more that it's the issue. It's fine for like a mortgage where if it settles 2-3 days later, it's no big deal because these transactions tend to take a while anyway, or even T+1 settlement. But what about the retail users? And I think that's the real value prop for more of the retail users. As he mentioned, the micro apps. Like, yeah, you want to take a lot of these things that don't need to gum up the mainnet and have them run somewhere faster with a little bit more space, that can be segregated out, and then just kind of check in every once in a while and say, hey, Bitcoin, like I've done this in the last 10 minutes, just like whenever you get a chance, please add this to your record. While they're handling all these, other transactions, other small features, running these D apps, running maybe like Web3 apps, whatever else. It doesn't need to be recorded on the next block. You can just kind of check in when available and then keep running it on your separate chain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like I hear this argument of like block space, this war for block space, that okay, there's only so much block space, but what are we doing with block space right now? We're just putting a bunch of memes right this, right? Don't we want to see like more, like real world data and all this settlement on layer 2s on these applications, right? Because right now when I go and look at our lot of these ordinals and ruins, like when we're indexing it, it's just a bunch of memes, like random stuff, right? And then we're talking about, oh, this war for block space. Of course we can make arrangements, right, as a community to settle important data on the world's most financial network that countries like El Salvador or companies are putting in their balance sheet, right? So that's something, like something for us to really think about. I see Fonzie's hand. Do you wanted to say something, Fonzie?
Oh yeah, no. So no, really good discussion so far. Just to go off what Biffle just said. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think you'll have two different purposes, right? You have like, in the way I see in the future, so you have specific app chains trading a specific asset class, right? Like one just trading runes, one just trading BRC20s, one just ordinals, right? All that cool stuff. And the way I see it playing out too is because of like, it, essentially all these transactions will be rolled back to Bitcoin. You'll have more sort of traffic coming back to Bitcoin and more congestion, right? As a result of like 20 times the output out there than you have on L1, right? So that's something that I foresee happening. And as you said, like there's different use cases, right? Like if you have a transaction for real world assets, right, and you definitely want an L1 play. But if you're more into like the trading and stuff and like trading meme coins, trading all this shit coin tokens, all this stuff, then it makes more sense to go into like an environment that sort of facilitates or it helps you at least make more profit, right? Where the cheap's gonna be, where the fees gonna be cheaper, where is it cheaper to trade these kind of stuff? So I think you'll have both plays. But overall, like I see it still playing out the same. Like both would indicate, both would help sustain sort of the security of Bitcoin, because they would rack up the fees, right? But especially if they roll back the transactions to L1, you'll have that play. So I think it's very good in the future. I see kind of like different builds, and overall, I think it's just going to help with the security budget, and I don't see a wrong option here.
I want to jump in, and I
Also,
want.
too.
Sorry,
Oh, hey,
Patrick. Go good.
hey, thanks, man. Also, too, guys, is for enterprise plays, like kind of like Matt was even saying just a minute ago, was like, for enterprise plays, they want speed. They want fast. They want, if you're dealing with a lot of users, you're going to need an L2 solution. Bitcoin just cannot do that. And then you're also going to need smart contracts. You're going to need more capabilities. Like, for example, like remuneration, right? Where I can put $10,000 and have it put into a smart contract and have it split to 100,000 different users that I'm now like profit sharing with or something like that, right? So L2s, super bullish. And L1s, of course, they have their place as well. So I just wanted to throw that into Matt's point about, just having more capabilities. And if like we're going an enterprise route, which obviously Bitcoin is an enterprise, it's a legacy token, it's a legacy ecosystem. It's built for enterprise. It just is. So I just want to throw that in. Thanks.
Yo, what's up, Patrick? How's it going, fam? Hi, Patrick.
What up, boy?
Hey, I just want to pull in Bison Labs, because
let them
they
do an
have
intro.
some issues. Yeah, could you guys do an intro and join the conversation?
Bison, you're on mute.
Bison, where are you guys?
So they're
Did they
having
drop out?
difficulties, so I'm not sure if they can actually hop on. I don't.
Fonzie, go ahead. So go ahead. You have your
It's not.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pop in and take their spot. Hey, I'm Ben Schiller, working with Bitmap 420. We're building utilities for the Bitcoin metaverse. And just to echo the thing that Fonzie was saying about L1, L2, and basically having the app chain sort of go on to L2s, that's something similar that we're looking at for the Bitcoin metaverse. So Bitmap is the land within the Bitcoin metaverse, which every bitmap points to a Bitcoin block. And within that, you have transactions for every block. Every one of those transactions can be broken off into a bitmap parcel. Just like you'd have a big tract of land, you'd subdivide it into smaller chunks so you can build houses on it. So we have Bitmap, which sits on Bitcoin layer 1. We have the parcels, which sits on Bitcoin layer 1. But then once you have all of the stuff, right, the old metaverse, the buildings, the experiences, that's high frequency, that's high volume, that's lots and lots of users. That obviously is going to have to live on an app chain on a layer 2. But that core functionality, the base layer, the ownership, the basic, like real world assets, the deeds, the titles, the things that it's okay to have a T+1 settlement, that stuff needs to be on layer 1. So a lot of the parallels that you're seeing, that I think a lot of the things that you guys are building for real world assets are going to directly apply to virtual assets and virtual land.
There's a Bison Lab just made it.
I'm actually curious if I could just add a question around that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, man. So for bitmaps, like how far, like I'm super into like the like virtual reality AR. I know some people aren't so bullish, but like I really like the Apple like goggles, right? The Apple glasses or whatever. Like, do you ever? I'm curious, Ben. Like, your take, since you're so into the Bitcoin metaverse, which I think is fucking huge, especially if it's native to Bitcoin. Do you ever see that? I'm just curious your thought. Like, how far away do you think that is from becoming like even just somewhat of a reality where we could be in our bitmap essentially?
Well, that's what we've been working on to accelerate that reality. So the biggest thing that we've done over the last couple of months, and to acknowledge first the problem, I think a lot of people were super excited about Bitmap and the idea of the Bitcoin metaverse, and then you kind of look at the reality of the chart of bitmap and you're like, whoa, what just happened? So the first thing that we've done and accomplished over the last couple of months was solidifying the bitmap protocol. There's a lot of uncertainty, which made it difficult for developers to be able to build. So we've solidified it to a point where we have a hard definition of what a bitmap is. We have a hard definition of the first layer down of what parcels are. So I think that first and foremost is hopefully going to give us a base. I think like Fonzie, I believe bitmap to 20K. Although I typically add it might go to 0 first because, without developers and without that ecosystem, what's the point? So I think we've put in a base, and what we're building with bitmap 420 and this parceling tool really is the first real bitmap utility, right? The first capacity for people to do something more with their bitmap other than just buy it and sit with it. So that's the base layer. Now the fun part can begin once you have some of that core guts, and this is all about what I think you guys are alluding to with what everyone's building. It's like, when you're out on the prairie, it's like you've got to build the road and the wagon and all the things to go with it to try to pioneer stuff. So we've got that done. Now we can start focusing on some of the fun stuff. And what you're seeing with DMT, with digital matter theory, which lets you use the content of Bitcoin blocks to create assets. We're seeing that with different collections. Now we're going to start to see that with Bitmap. And we're starting to see it with BRC 420, which we've also worked to get that solidified a bit as well, which gives you a protocol. BRC 420 is the metaverse protocol, which allows you to have assets to be interoperable within this Bitcoin metaverse to ensure that as it grows, it is exactly what you're saying, Patrick. It remains open, it remains secure, it remains independent and available to everyone. So if you start putting those pieces together, which is where we're at right now, I'm super excited. Obviously, I'm dedicating my most precious resource, my time, to seeing this. So I think it's going to be sooner rather than later, but ultimately it's going to be up to people like us and what we're building with Bitmap 420 and the developers coming on to actually deliver on that promise sooner rather than later.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks. Just want to go back a little bit and pull Bison Labs.
I see Bison Labs back again. Thanks for that, Ben.
Hey, sorry.
Yeah, you guys can do a quick intro.
Yeah, really apologize for some technical issues. So my name is Z. I'm a co-founder of Bison Labs. Super excited to listen to all of you guys, right? So we are L2 on BTC basically, and mission is really just trying to building, allowing native BTC solutions that are really trustless and decentralized, right? And we've been working with Ordinal Hive in the past and just really trying to build this for a while. And I think that's one of our update, right? We were trying to avoid VM in the beginning and just trying to go for like testnet V1 and what we realized that as the space really heat up since the company the team inception, we're trying to expand to VM, and now we're going to add on to DLC as well, and to try to provide a more simple version that can use for any dApps going forward. Yeah.
Very cool. I actually have a question there. I'm curious, as a founder in an L2 solution, an L2 protocol yourself, like what's been the hardest thing for you that you've noticed in scaling? Yeah.
Great question. I think the hardest thing is how fast the space is innovating, right? As much as we love our partners, right, and trying to help them out, we realize that VM was not really a potential in the past, and now it becomes potential, and everyone is racing with a speed that's you need you need a big team to do it, right? That's the number one, and then two. Because we are a smaller team, so that's why. And then two is how everyone is kind of like there's no time to do everything. So innovation is so fast, and there's not enough time to catch up with the so-called bull run timeline, right? Everyone here probably say that anywhere from 2025 or the end of 2024 as like the end of bull run speculation. So a lot of this pressure kind of build up from a co-founder perspective. It's like, okay, what can we do now? What can we pivot? And the biggest struggle here is that as for Bison Lab, we've been around, but we pivot quite a few times since the beginning. Going from maybe potentially building a DEX and then going for maybe just a pure L2, and then now potentially finding a solution that's going to be even more scalable. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer.
Yeah, looks like we're already coming to the end of the spaces. Like I have so many questions. I have so many things to ask all of you guys. We definitely need to do like a round two about this. For the last few minutes, I would ask any of you guys, Bitflow, Bison, Zulu, Fonzie, Arch, if you guys have any announcements, anything that you would like to share with the community.
Well, yeah, everyone just keep on building. I mean, it's a great time to be working in the Bitcoin space. It's it's a really exciting future with everything we've discussed here. There's so many new things that are now possible on the Bitcoin mainnet that nobody 10 years ago dreamed would be able to do. As for ourselves, Zulu, like please do follow our socials, hop on our testnet, keep updated on what it is we're doing, what we're bringing to the Bitcoin space, and how that benefits you. And again, Torum, thanks so much for putting this together and for hosting us.
100%. Welcome.
Yeah, same here. Appreciate the
thing,
space. For us, follow Bitflow Finance. Turn on your notifications for the latest announcements. Also sign up for a newsletter. We have Friday Shorelines, which is a very streamlined TLDR type of email of the Bitcoin ecosystem, as well as what's happening on Bitflow. Follow us, DM us. Discord is open. We are trying to build this from the community up, and feedback from users, builders is very, very important at this stage. And keep on building. I think we're we look back just 12 months ago, a year ago, look how far we've come with Bitcoin DeFi, and imagine the next 1 year. And sometimes you're just a question or a DM away from trying to build that cool product. So my DMs are open.
Yeah, that said, if there are any new builders or developers,
Matt, do you want to say something? Or Bison or Fonzie?
I think they're good.
Did you say Mike? Did you say Pat?
I said Matt, but I don't know if he's on. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I mean from our side, definitely sign up for. Sorry, no, I was going to say definitely from our side, sign up for our incentivized testnet. The early access program is open. It's going to come down probably in the next couple of weeks as we go on full-blown fundraising mode. We have our Telegram community open. The announcement community is now open, so definitely follow us there for all the new spaces, the product updates, the drops, the partnerships. That's from our side. And then Fonzie, you guys want to say anything? Or Arch?
I guess, yeah, no. So we are having our soft launch very, very soon. We have our free mint as well happening on Friday. So end of this week, it's our official mint of our OG pass. So we've been on test for the last 3 months, and most of the people who are going to be guaranteed a spot have been our users, tested users, as well as a specific portion for first come, first serve. If you guys want to incentivize, kind of like people who are here in this specific space here. So just like, if you want Torum, just like post a link up there, one of your maybe the whitelist sign up. So like all you guys gotta do is like retweet that specific one, and then we can offer you guys spots for our first come first serve portion allocation. So just like link up your whitelist there, join Torum. I think what you guys are doing is pretty cool. It's definitely in the ecosystem itself, and then maybe you guys can select the top 3 winners, and then just ping me with their addresses and so forth. But yeah, cheers guys, great space. Thanks for inviting me. Awesome being up here.
Awesome stuff. Like I said, we need a round 2, so we'll reach out to some of you guys, all of you guys. And if you guys want to be part of the next spaces as well, please let us know. A lot of questions still unanswered for me. My appetite has not been fulfilled yet, but thank you all of you guys for coming here. It was great to share the insights. A lot of alpha. Really appreciate all the time. On scheduling all this across various time zones is not easy, but really, that's what makes us strong as a Bitcoin community together. Go Bitcoin.
Awesome, and thank you, Torun. Thank you, Fonzie, for inviting me up. Matt and Bison, I definitely want to reach out with you guys, get an update on what you're doing, see if what you guys have going on is possible for Bitmap 420 to push forward. I put the link at the top. Our testnet waitlist is open. Our Bitmap parceling tool is in motion. So anybody wants to test that out, see what the future of Bitmap looks like, give us a go and take a look, sign up. We'd love to have you. Thank you guys so much for the space. I appreciate it.
Yo, Ben, pump our bags, pump our Bitmap bags. We need it.
I am here to pump everyone's Bitmap bags. That's the pitch.
Let's leave it on that one.
Until next time, friends.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you, guys.
So talk to you guys later.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and pepper and heavy D up in the limousine. Hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rap attack, Mr. Magic Molly Malls. I let my tape rock to my tape pop. Smoking weed and bamboo, sipping on private stock. Way back when I had the red and black lumberjack with the hat to match. Remember rapping Duke? The hard, you never thought that hip hop would take it this far. Now I'm in the limelight cause I rhyme tight. Time to get paid, blow up like the world trade. Born fitter,